Okay, let's shift musical styles now, and this is a track from Evelyn Laurie's rather tasty album.
I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. My heart should be well schooled, 'cause I've been fooled in the past. But still I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. My heart should be well schooled, 'cause I've been fooled. Yes, I've been fooled in the past. But still I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast.
Yeah, dead smooth indeed. With music by Jules Stein and lyrics by Sammy Cahn, the great Sammy Cahn, and sounding straight out of Manhattan or Ronnie Scott's. You heard Evelyn Laurie there from her debut album, A Little Bit of Me, self-released album. But she's not in New York, she's not in London, she's in Paisley. Good evening, Evelyn. How the devil are you?
Hello there, Graeme. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. Let's just try and get our levels in agreement there. Very, very tasty stuff.
Oh, thank you so much. I wish it was in Manhattan, though.
You've obviously got a great empathy with the world of jazz. How did it all start for you?
Well, I guess I've been singing since I was about, as long as I can remember, really. And I sang through various styles over the years. I just always liked so many different types of music, but it was maybe about 12, 13 years ago that I went to a jazz vocal workshop that the great Fiona Duncan, Scotland's grandmummy of jazz, ran, and I got hooked from there. So that's when I really started going down the jazz route.
Would you say it was instantly settled on your vocal style? Once you got there?
I'm not sure, because you start out thinking, I'm going to be the next Billie Holiday, or I'm going to be the next Ella Fitzgerald, and you have to go through the disappointment of realising there really was only one Billie Holiday and one Ella, and you have to find your own voice. So hopefully, I think this is why it's taken me a while to actually record.
Because this is your debut album, isn't it?
It is my debut.
And it's got quality stamped all over it with a capital Q, to my ears anyway. How selective were you when you came to picking the tunes on here?
Well, yes, the album was a long time in the planning, so the set list did change many times over the years. But really, it's all songs that I love, and I think obviously you have to have an eye or an ear to what's actually going to make a nice kind of complete album. But every song on there, like the one you just played, I Fall in Love Too Easily, I'm a huge Chet Baker fan, and he did that one so well, so that one had to be there. And the others, there's a couple that I've written.
Yes, but we will come to them. We will come to them. But I'm wondering if, please don't take this the wrong way, right? But from a pure listener's point of view, who maybe doesn't know a lot about jazz, it's kind of hard to. There's so much in jazz. What constitutes jazz, heaven only knows, or with any genre. It must have been extraordinarily difficult for you to pick out these, 8 tracks, because you've got a couple of your own on there. And in fact, even one of them isn't, 2 don't fit into the jazz, within quotes, normal genre, and yet they work so well. Of course, Wichita Lineman, country song. And then one of my all-time favourite songs, which you nail here absolutely beautifully, Sandy Denny's Who Knows Where the Time Goes.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked that one.
Oh, man.
I love that song.
There is 2 versions that stand out for me of that song. Sandy's own. One of my all-time favourites, Eva Cassidy, the late, great Eva Cassidy. And yet you knock her off the top spot for me. No, I'm not just bumming you up, right? Honestly, I'm not trying to soak up here. You have just brought something different to the table in your interpretation of it.
I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because I've been working on that for a long time. And that song actually reminds me of a friend who sadly died far too young, and who I went to college with, and she used to say, sing like Sandy Denny. And I said, I can't sing like Sandy Denny. So, I really wanted to find my own way into it, because there was only one Sandy Denny. I think with all the songs, it's finding your own way.
And putting your own stamp on them. And I'm going to play that track, and obviously it's a long track, so you can go off and make a cup of tea and things, because you know the song. But from a listener's point of view, maybe some people even don't know Sandy Denny, which is criminal to my ears. But I'm wondering seriously, when you were putting the ideas for the album together, had you gigged any of these songs? Had you done them in a live environment to see how they would work, or did you just gather around you some really quality musicians here, like Conrad as an example, who does wonderful stuff on the saxophone, and your piano player as well, Ewan Stevenson.
They're all amazing.
Really, just singling 2 out of the 5 or 6 guys that you've got in there. Had you worked with them before, Evelyn, before getting into the studio?
So, you asked if I had gigged any of the songs. I had gigged quite a few of them. I Fall in Love Too Easily is in every set I ever do. And Close Your Eyes, which is a kind of a Latin one, I do that one quite a lot. some of the others I hadn't gigged. But the band, you know, a long time ago, a very good teacher, a New York singer, said to me, always work with the best that you can. So that was another reason the album took a while to come together, because I really wanted to work with the best that I could afford.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky to be able to work with these wonderful musicians.
But but there again, how, from a listener's point of view, everybody thinks, okay, I buy an LP or an album, whatever you want to call it, and I put it on my player and it's there. But of course, for producers and music files like ourselves, we know that an awful lot of work goes into it, that you have to work with your musicians beforehand. So what sort of time scale, once you gathered those guys around you, how did you work out arrangements, and how long did that whole process take for you?
A lot of the arrangements I had been working on with other people, and the guitarist Frank Bolam, who plays on a few of the tracks, Frank and I have gigged quite a lot together, so I really knew his strengths and I knew where I wanted him to play, and I think he was wonderful. Ewan, I hadn't really worked a lot with, but he pulled in the other guys. He brought in the bass player, the drummer, and the Conrad. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really have a lot of time together, but it just shows how professional those guys are. I mean, I gave them my charts, my arrangements, kind of talked through what I wanted to do, and well, they just pulled it off for me.
They do extraordinary job on backing you up here. How about the production itself? Did you enjoy the process of physically making the album, being in the studio?
It was nerve-wracking. I think after the first day and a half or so, I started to enjoy it, and when I had finished, I wanted to do it again. I mean, it has been a huge learning curve. But again, the engineer that I worked with, Gus, at Solas in Glasgow, he's a jazz bass player himself, so he was very sensitive to what we were all trying to do. And yeah, I mean, everybody was just so easy to work with.
And up for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm going to play Who Knows Where the Time Goes while we can relax and you go off and make your cup of tea, because you know the song. But listeners, pin back your ears, because this is absolutely gorgeous.
Sky, all the birds are leaving. How can they know it's time for them to go? Before the winter fire, dreaming. I have no thought of time, for who knows where the time goes, who knows where the time goes. Deserted shore, your fickle friends are leaving. But then you know it's time for them to go. But I will still be here. I have no thought of leaving. I do not count the time. For who knows it's time to go. So come the storms of winter and the birds of spring again. I have no fear of time. For who knows how my love grows? Who knows where the time goes? Where the time goes? Where the time goes? Where the time goes.
How good is that, people? That is just superb, Evelyn. You've got me in a wreck here.
You're feeling a bit melancholy.
Well,
now?
I really like that kind of subtle, fragile vibrato in your voice when you're doing parts of that song. It just sends little shivers down me. Excellent interpretation of Sandy Denny's Who Knows Where the Time Goes. And if you are out dancing, that's the end of the night song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. You have selected to have a couple of your own tracks on here. Fly Away being one of them. And what was the other one? I can't see it at the moment, but it'll come to me in a minute. I Love Your Smile. Thank you very much. But I'm married, Evelyn. Behave yourself, woman. Was that... Did your writing come easily to you once you started in the sort of jazz genre, as it were? How do you go about writing a nice jazz tune?
Well, I don't think I started out thinking I'm going to write a jazz tune. And again, I think I've been kind of writing ditties kind of all my life, you know, but not really taking them all that seriously. But then I went on a couple of little songwriting courses that the Musicians Union had organised, and just started sort of taking it a little bit more seriously and actually trying to finish one was the first challenge. But that song, I actually wrote it about 9 years ago, and I hadn't planned to record it. I had another song that I had written that I wanted to record, but I couldn't quite get it finished. I wasn't happy with it. So I found this one. I thought, this one might do. So 9 years later, it's saw the light of day. So.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, I suppose, to have a song on an album of standards, if you like.
Yeah.
And know that it matches up to some of the others.
Yeah, well, one friend who is a composer said that he couldn't tell the difference, which I thought was a huge compliment.
Well, yes, that would be my feeling as well. You know, if I didn't have the album in front of me, Fly Away as an example, it just stands up with the rest of the album. No question about that. Yeah. So now the album is out. It's an obvious question. I'm sorry, but you've got to go out and promote it, haven't you? And is that a hard thing to do in let's face it, a pop-saturated world? Well,
I got some help from the people who actually duplicated the album for me. They offer that service.
The guys up at Burnham, you mean?
Burnham CD, yeah.
Who sent me this album?
Of course. So that was how you got it.
Yeah.
But they have contacts in the music industry, throughout Britain, and they've sent it to people who they think would be interested in radio and in publications and bloggers and so forth. So that's been a great help, because given it's my first one, I would have been struggling to kind of know where to start with that. But I'm kind of picking up some ideas myself, and it's amazing how many radio podcasts there are now. So I'm actually going to be on one in Australia in December. So I mean, it's such a big world when it comes to putting out music. You realise it's not just about your own neighbourhood anymore.
No.
It's out in the wide world.
Do you think there's a kind of, because I'm not 100% sure these days, is there quite a thriving musical scene in Paisley where you're based?
In Paisley, there's a massive musical scene. I mean, Paisley has always been a musical town.
Scotland has been a musical nation, let's face it.
Of course. But when you think, Paolo Nutini...
Never heard of him.
Jerry Rafferty...
Never heard of him.
Paisley has a thriving... But it tends to be it keeps itself local, so... And it's not always jazz. So I've maybe broken the mold a wee bit there. Although, as we were saying before... you have to kind of put a label on your music in order to try and get it to the right people. But, it's jazz, it's music, it's just music.
It's just
and,
music,
you either like it or you don't.
I mean, that's one of the pleasures I get of doing this show. I don't follow any playlist that is sent to me in the mail. I just wouldn't do this program. It's my choice of music. But because I like to think I have open ears, I'll quite happily play your jazz sitting along classical music, sitting alongside blues or rock blues, which I had a nice discussion with a lady earlier this afternoon. It's just music, and if it makes me feel, then it's worked,
Well, that's what I want to do with my music, is move people. So if I move them in some way, I'm happy.
Yeah, well, this is a very high-quality album. You should be very pleased with it. The album's called A Little Bit of Me. It's your own release. You're not gone with a record label.
Nope.
So it's available now. A Little Bit of Me is the title of the album. And I'm just looking here, catalogue number ELCD001.
Yeah.
Well, there's an idea for a debut album, isn't it? But
and it's on all the usual
download sites. Yeah, your Spotify's and your Amazons and iTunes and all the rest of it, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a CD via my website as well.
Yeah. Is the physical CD also available to buy, not only on your website, but could, like, on Amazon as an example?
From Amazon or from Burnham.
Yeah. Well, I do heartily recommend it to people. Go out and just take a chance. Listen to this jazz. It's very, very easy on the ears, and you will not be disappointed. Evelyn, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. You're going to have to do a bit of work now, because I'd like you to pick one of the tracks from the album that we can play out with, and then talk me into it.
Well, I think we should go with I Love Your Smile.
Right,
and it's dedicated to my husband.
You mean there's somebody else in your life?
That gets me some brownie points.
Is there somebody else in your life?
I'm sorry, Graeme.
Oh, woman, what are you like? And here was such a promising start to a relationship too. Evelyn, thank you for this. What made you pick this? Not what made you pick this particular one, but well, yes. Why did you pick this one? I mean, it's one of your own, obviously, so you want to get a little bit of airplay for your own stuff, naturally. But out of all these 10 album tracks, why did you particularly fit in this one?
It's probably because we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I mean, I have to say I love them all because I put them there. So
in the future, what's coming down the line in the future? Now that you've got an album out there, are you determined to go back in, cut number 2, your sophomore album?
I would like to. Let's sort of learn from this one, and I'd like to write some more. And maybe the next one will be called A Bit More of Me, because this one's got a little bit.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
Indeed. Evelyn, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me this evening. I hope I haven't kept you back from your tea.
Oh, not at all. Thank you so much for inviting me, Graeme. It's been great.
Take care, lassie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
I love your smile. I love the way your eyes sparkle and dance. I love your smile. It always makes me think of romance. And if you'd share your smile and stay a while with me, how happy I would be. Don't ever change your smile, don't ever lose your style. Just stay the way you're meant to be. I love your charm, your witty words, your flirty, funny ways. I love your charm, it thrills my nights and lightens all my days. And if you'd use your charm to keep me on your arm, you'd see how happy we would be. Your smile, your style, your charm, there'll be no false alarm. In love together, you and me. I love your smile. Makes me think of romance. And if you stay a while and share your smile with me, how happy I would be. Don't ever change your style, no, never lose your smile. Stay the way you're meant to be. I love your charm, your witty words, your flirty, funny ways. I love your charm, it thrills my nights and lightens all my days. And if you'd use your charm, keep me on your arm, you'd see how happy we would be. Your smile, your style, your charm, there'll be no false alarm. In love together, you and me. I love your smile. I love your smile. I love your smile. I love your smile.
Well, what a big disappointment that lady turned out to be. I thought she was going to play that song for me, but she's got her husband. Sorry, Evelyn, just joking, lass. Please. Yes, very, very tasty stuff indeed. Evelyn Laurie there from her album Little Bit of Me, and a song she wrote herself and dedicated to her husband. I Love Your Smile. Lovely stuff indeed. But I do heartily recommend this album to you as well, folks. It's got quality stamped all over it. Nice, easy listening jazz. With a couple of little curveballs thrown in there as well, like Wichita Lineman, as I said, and who knows where the time goes, which you heard earlier. So my thanks to Evelyn, and I will be playing plenty more of those tracks over the coming weeks.